All right, folks, I'm Tom Downey. Along with me is Mitchell Renz. Go follow him on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. I'm on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. Mitchell, we haven't done it yet because we've been sidetracked and I've been lazy, but we do have my new, I should say, first NFL draft big board. 32 players in total. Here are the rules. These are my personal top guys.
Okay.
So not what NFL teams are going to do. It's most importantly, it's not the order they'll be drafted. You might be surprised how often that's happened to me. Now, remember, not all of these guys are actually first-round grades.
Okay.
There are not 32 first-round grades for NFL teams. That's not how it ends up working out. This is also not finalized yet. When we come to the actual draft, there will be changes, so make sure you're subscribed. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. And we'll have live draft coverage for you all 3 days.
So basically what you could have put on this is Tom Downey's world, and we're all just living in it.
Perfect. Thank you. I don't know if that actually would have fit on the graphic, though. All right, so again, number one for me, Mitchell, Quinnen Williams. He annoys me to watch on film because when I'm watching other Alabama players, I'm like, oh, there's Quinnen again destroying the play. like so many times, like you're watching Isaiah Buggs, you're watching Deontay Thompson, Mac Wilson. It's like, well, there's Quinnen again, just blowing up everything and not letting other guys make a chance. Like other guys started really well, like on a play, but Quinnen was just too good.
And he just kept getting better and better, and he's really, really young, and it's really, really exciting. And I think it's funny how much now this changes, why this is a great question. Who do you think is the best player in this year's draft? I think you had asked me 2 months ago, we were all like, it's hands down Nick Bosa. And then the one day you come in, you're like, I am in love with Quinnen Williams.
So good. He's just so good.
So we want to know from everybody watching,
Yes.
Facebook, YouTube, who do you think is the best player in this year's draft? Make sure you comment below. My vote, though, Tom, is still for this next guy coming up. It's Nick Bosa for me.
Injury cut short what was going to be a fantastic season for him. Like, he played really well in the first couple of games, and the thing I like most about Nick Bosa, Mitch, is that he doesn't stay engaged for very long. A lot of times with edge guys, you kind of see him like, oh, I'm not going to shed this block, I'm not going to get off it. Even if offensive linemen get a hand on Nick Bosa, he doesn't stay stuck very long. That's a really good sign for NFL production. So only 3 games, 6 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. I think he would have approached Josh Allen numbers this year.
Yeah?
And speaking of Josh Allen, he's actually my number 3 player. This is why sometimes it's good to go back to school. He went back for his final year at UK, could have gone pro.
Yep.
Instead of being, well, maybe he goes top 40, now he's going to go top 5.
And he should.
I see no scenario out there in which he doesn't get out of the top 5 picks. Even if the Jets and Raiders trade down and teams take quarterbacks.
I mean, long, lanky, and I think the most important
Good
trait,
athlete, too.
Great athlete. The most important trait was every single year he was in college, he got better, and you could tell he learned. And when you talk to Kentucky coaches, they're like, one of the smartest players we talk to, a great leader. And if I'm an NFL team, I'm like, if this is a really freakish athlete and he learns the way that he does, the upside with Josh Allen to me is scary.
A lot of the SEC tackles, by the way, said Allen was the toughest guy to guard that they faced all year. Now, let's move to number 4, and I'll make note there is a drop-off from number 3 to really the rest of these first-round grades I have here, but I'm still going to stick with Ed Oliver at number 4. I know there are size concerns, and he's not the biggest guy, and I don't know what to do with him in a 3-4 scheme, and he's probably not going to really play at 287, probably going to be more like around 280. But he's a freak athlete, and I think he's going to thrive as a 3-10. Look, he played as a true nose guard for Houston.
Yep.
That's not what he's going to do in the NFL. Instead, he's going to shoot gaps, and I think he's going to thrive in that role. And yeah, only 3 sacks. He'll have more in the NFL. Plug him in as a 3 technique and just have success.
No, I agree. I think he's really, really talented. I don't want to compare him to Aaron Donald, but he's been compared to Aaron Donald a ton. That's a really, really high thing to live up to.
He's not.
But Ed Oliver's going to be really special.
Not Aaron Donald, didn't produce like Donald was, so I don't think that's fair to Ed Oliver. Number 5, meanwhile, with a little bit of a drop-off here. It really goes 1, 2, 3, then 4, then 5,
I think that's how numbers
down.
go in general, though.
You know what I mean. Everyone knows that, Mitch. I've got Jonah Williams at number 5. There were fears about his arm length. He hit the arm length threshold, checked off that box for me, and he is not an elite athlete by any means, but especially on the offensive line, it's less about how good of an athlete you are and how technically sound you are. You can get by with lesser athleticism if your footwork is correct. You have efficient footwork, you're going to be able to shift and slide well. That's what Jonah Williams does. Play him at left tackle. He should be a top 10 pick. I don't know if he's going to be, though. I don't think he's going to be the first tackle.
Protecting your quarterback's blind side is a very important role, and I think maybe I think Jonah Williams was one of those players that we talked about a bunch earlier in the early draft process, and now I feel like I don't hear a lot about him anymore, so I'm happy to see that he's in our top 5.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. I absolutely love him. All right, folks, today's show brought to you by the MyTV Choice app. Go download it today at mytvchoice.com. Get rid of commercials during March Madness. Instead, have awesome chat sports content sent right to your TV.
You want March Madness? We got you. NFL draft content? We got you. Number 5 seed has never won the tournament, Tom. You would have known that if you downloaded the app, mytvchoice.com.
Number 6 then for me, Mitchell, is TJ Hockenson. You and producer Brett keep throwing shade at me. I don't know why.
Because if TJ's first letter of his name began with a B, I'd be really worried about you.
Okay. But it doesn't. That makes no sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I am genuinely worried about your love for TJ
You just wanted to make a BJ joke. Plain and simple. Let's call facts facts there, Mitchell. Hockenson is everything you want in a tight end. He's not like the same upper echelon high-end athlete that Noah Fant and Evan Ingram were.
Okay.
But he's still a really, really good athlete. He's like 75 percentile instead of like 95th. Like
so what makes him different than Noah Fant? Because Noah Fant's a better athlete.
He is a better route runner, and he is a far better blocker.
Okay.
Hockenson can come in right now and be a blocking tight end. That's not that common in for today's draft prospects. You plug him in, he starts day one. I think he is the best offensive player in terms of skill guys in this year's draft class. The biggest thing for Hockenson, where are the flaws? There really aren't any.
TJ, if you're watching the show, check your mailbox, see if you got invited to this guy's wedding. Is that a sick burn? Maybe not. I'm going to Brian Burns. Tom,
nice.
Take it away.
He and Hockenson and Williams have kind of flip-flopped a bunch for me at number 5 as I've gone through the pre-draft process. They tried to tell you that Brian Burns was too skinny to play on the outside to be a true edge rusher. Then he bulked up to 250 and still tested incredibly well at the NFL Combine. If you want bend in your edge rusher, Brian Burns is that guy this year.
I'm kind of surprised to see Brian Burns in the top 10.
He's good, man.
I hear you, and I respect your opinion, but I'm surprised to see Brian Burns top 10. Is anybody else? Put it in the comments section.
Burns and Hockenson are 2 of my guys this year that I'm just a little bit higher on than I think most draft people are. Everyone has their guys. Burns and Hockenson.
If you're Hockenson Burns, call a doctor.
I set you up pretty well for that one, I guess, there. All right, let's talk linebackers then here. Number 8, Devin White. We'll get the other Devin here in just a little bit. There are some concerns for me on film with missed tackles, and he kind of takes the play fake a little bit too seriously sometimes, so get himself out of position. But he's still kind of learning the linebacker position. He's a fantastic athlete. The upside is super, super high, and he produced really well at LSU. A bunch of tackles for loss, despite playing on a really good overall defense.
I think when I look at Devin White, though, he can do everything really well. I don't really know what his major weakness is. And if I'm an NFL team, I'm looking at Devin White. To me, he is the clear-cut number 1 linebacker in this class. But I'm starting to get the feeling that it could be number close, too.
I don't think it's clear-cut.
No?
And at number 9, I've got Devin Bush, and I've contemplated actually putting Bush as my number 1 linebacker before. Now, he and Devin White are very similar sized, very similar athletes in terms of the way they tested and the way they play on film. The main differences is White produced way better than Devin Bush did, just in terms of actual physical production.
Okay.
Tackles kind of obvious. I think Devin Bush might be a little bit better as a blitzer, or at least was used more as a blitzer than Devin White was. And Bush doesn't fall for the play fake as much.
Who do you think fits in today's NFL better, Bush or White?
There is no wrong answer. They both fit fantastically. No, they both fit fantastically because
Okay.
they're both pretty similar in terms of size and play speed. So from that perspective, you can take your pick. Devin White or Devin Bush. If you want Devin Bush more than White, I'm not going to be upset by it. I think they're both going to go top 15.
Okay. I'm going to type, for me personally, I'm typing my DW. I'm going Devin White. But Tom, what would you? You're going DW as well?
I'm going to go DW, but it's close. It's very close there.
Does that make you sweat?
A little bit. Nice segue there, Mitch. You're on fire right now. Number 10, MONTEZ Sweat. Leading into the Senior Bowl in the Combine, I'm like, yeah, MONTEZ Sweat. I'm worried about his bend a little bit. Doesn't convert speed to power as well as he should. But he's going to be like a top 20 guy for me. Then he goes to the Combine.
Yep.
And he tests like a guy that should be even better than Brian Burns is at bend. Now, testing doesn't always equate to on-the-field play, but when you test off the charts like MONTEZ Sweat did at his size, you have to put him in your top 15. Like, there's no way he couldn't be any. He's 10 is as low as I can justifiably put him here.
I'll tell you what, if there's a sneaky
good.
team, the Raiders could take Sweat legitimately at number 4.
I think he's going to go top 10. Now, there was the heart condition. I'm not concerned by it because they cleared him to participate in the combine.
Okay.
Mo Hurst didn't have that benefit. I'm not concerned about it at all. At number 11, then, I've got the other Iowa tight end. 2 first-round grades this year for tight end. I don't think I've ever done that before. Noah Fant.
I like his picture with glasses more, personally.
That's okay. I can see you there. As we all kind of knew, he's a freak athlete. Now, the main knock was that he's a bad blocker. I don't think that's the case. I don't think he's an above-average blocker, but I don't think he's bad either.
I mean, when I look at his cone time, his 3-cone time, it's what, 6.81, which is a lot better than DK Metcalf's. Also, he ran a 4.51.
He's a freak.
I look at him, he could be an Evan Ingram type of tight end. He's this new era type of tight end.
It's a good comp for him, where you almost want to make him into a big slot.
Yeah.
And use that pass catching ability. Now, at number 12, we'll stick with offense here. I've got DK Metcalf. I still have a round 1 grade on him. By the way, I did have him at wide receiver 1 before he blew up the combine. For DK, I know the agility drills weren't that good, and he probably just shouldn't have run them, and no one would have cared about it. But he is still almost 6'4", and is an absolute speed freak. I know going east and west isn't going to be the best thing for him, but here's the thing with DK. You can win in the NFL with that size and that speed.
And 1.6% body fat.
Which was fake news, by the way, because you literally can't have that.
April Fools.
If you take him and put him on a team that will say, okay, you are our prototypical X receiver, you're going to run a lot of vertical routes, you are going to have success.
Okay.
I'm not sure where he ends up going, but in terms of finding an actual number 1 receiver, I think DK is the closest thing you have in this year's draft class.
Now, I've heard some people say, like, I'm worried about him being the next Laquan Treadwell. Totally different players.
Exactly. Like, in terms of, like, bust, sure, but Treadwell was not fast.
I agree. That's all I'm trying to say.
All right, today's show brought to you by BetDSI. If you were like me, you signed up on BetDSI, and you bet a lot of money on the under on DK Metcalf's 40 time, and you made a lot of it. I told you to bet on it.
I know you did, and I wish I would have listened to you because guess what? I'm not as good as Tom, as everyone knows. Use our promo code LIVE120 for a 120% deposit bonus. If you put down $100, you get $120 for free. Put down $500, you get $600 for free. I challenge anybody out there to find a better promo deal.
Won't do it.
And if you do, Tom will shave his head.
Yes, that's actually fair. All right, move to number 13 then, Garrett Bradbury. Now, this is kind of, after 12, I'm kind of like, these are really low-end round 1 grades for me, almost bordering on round 1 to 2 grades, which I do a little bit differently than everyone else. But he's a really good athlete at center.
Okay.
Played tight end, wasn't good enough, moved to defensive end, then to center, was the Remington Trophy Award winner, so the best interior offensive lineman in the nation. If you put him in a zone blocking scheme where you let him move, you will succeed. He will thrive. If you ask him to anchor against, like, Damon Harrison, going to have some problems early, but he's a good athlete. So I think from that perspective, it makes a lot of sense there. Number 14 is JAWAAN Taylor. He's a right tackle. There's some pretty bad left tackle tape of him, but if you keep him at right tackle, I think he's fine. Was much better this year under much better coaching at Florida. Only allowed the 1 sack. The big red flag for me is there are too many penalties. Redskins fans and NFC East fans know what I'm talking about here. Morgan Moses, I swear to God, false starts every single play.
You can't say Moses and God in the same sentence.
Just did. JAWAAN Taylor does the exact same thing. Or he, like, I think he jumps early too much. Like, he's just, like, anticipating almost. But maybe just hearing the snap count. Either way, I like him in that late round 1 range. Number 15 is CLELIN FERRELL, excuse me. I know he's not a great athlete, but I can't ignore the production he had at Clemson. And it's not like he's a bad athlete. He's just kind of like average.
I think it's unfortunate that he's in such a stacked class right now, or else Ferrell would have been, in my opinion, a top 10 pick pretty easily. He was supposed to be a top, I think, 5 pick. We were talking about him being a potential top 5 pick about 2 months ago. Then the combine happened, and, well, now he's sliding down boards a little bit.
I like Ferrell a lot. I also like Christian Wilkins, who was my number 16 guy this year, one of my last round 1 grades. In fact, my last overall round 1 grade. He's not going to be a superstar, but he is going to be a very good NFL player. He's going to come in, he's going to do everything the coaches ask of him, and he's going to be adored by his teammates. Plain and simple there. You're laughing at the comment I posted in the chat, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Who was in better shape, Mitch or Tom? And I said, easily, it's Mitchell. Now, which Clemson player would you guys prefer? Type CF for Cleveland Ferrell or CW for Christian Wilkins or the TV channel.
I'm going with Ferrell.
I'm going with Ferrell, too. It's close, though. I like both those guys quite a bit. Now, I will make note here. These 16 guys were my only actual round 1 grades.
Okay.
Quinnen at number 1, Bosa, Allen, Ed Oliver. In general, NFL teams kind of come in around that number. It was more than I had last year, less than I had in 2017.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's before 2018.
Yes, I had to check there. I'm not good with math. But the point here is that NFL teams actually don't assign out 32 first-round grades.
Okay.
Not even close to it. That's why you tend to see trades late in round 1, because things get a little bit weird around the 20s, where the boards really start to diverge a little bit here. So we'll work our way through the bottom 16 of my top 32 here. Number 17, Greedy Williams. Issues with technique. You saw at the combine with his back pedal before he pulled up with a bad hamstring. He's kind of raw there. Effort tends to wane, but when he's on, he's on. Number 1 corner type ability there. Not far behind him for me is Byron Murphy, who the testing isn't great, but the technique is. He's really fluid. And he's doesn't have the best size, not the best speed, but in terms of like, I need a number 2 corner, I think that's going to be Byron Murphy there.
All right, so if I had to ask you, Byron Murphy or Greedy Williams, who's the best cornerback in the draft? If you don't think it's either of those guys, let us know in the comment section. Facebook, YouTube, best cornerback in this year's draft class.
I assume if you think otherwise, you're saying either Justin Lane or DeAndre Baker. Neither guy made my top 32.
I'm a hungry guy. Hungry. I don't even know what I was going with that.
All right, number 19 then, NASIR Adderley. I was hoping he was going to be a little bit higher on my board. The tape has some really high flashes, but he kind of bites on the play fake too much. The range is there. He might be almost a needs a year to adjust type of guy, but the upside's still there for Adderley at number 19. So he might move down a bit near the end, but we're round 1.5 for me, round 1 to 2. It's a little bit different there. Number 20, Jerry Tillery. NFL teams have some concerns about his desire. I'm not. I think he's going to be fine there. A lot of upside as a 3 technique. He single-handedly owned Stanford. That's the upside that he might have there in the end. Number 21, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I'm not sure yet if he's a nickel corner or a free safety, but he can do both. I like him a little bit. And 2017, awful tackler. 2018, actually pretty good there in the end. Now, in the end, I like a lot of what he can do. There's some people have him really high, Mitch. I'm not quite as high maybe on others as
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
I like him, though. He's just going to be just outside my top 20 there in the end. So let's move then to the big name in this year's class, number 22, Kyler Murray. I do have him as my number 1 quarterback.
And he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, and then you're going to shave your head, and that's going to make me really,
We haven't
really
decided
excited.
anything yet on that front. There are size concerns there with Kyler Murray. And if he were 6'5", like no one would be concerned at all about him. He'd probably be the number 1 quarterback for everyone. But I do worry a little bit in terms of him holding up physically.
All right.
And I think you have to.
So who is the number 1 quarterback, Tom? Kyler Murray or Dwayne Haskins? We want to know from everybody watching. Type DH for Dwayne Haskins, KM for Kyler Murray. I love me some Kyler Murray. He's the number 1 quarterback in my on my class.
There you go. So we're in agreement there. Very good.
Absolutely.
All right, how about one of my personal guys there, Darnell Savage. He is undersized, but he's fast. He hits a lot. This is just one of my dudes this year. I absolutely love him. Number 24, Taylor Rapp, another safety that I like. Now, Mitch, he kind of ran into a problem earlier this week, or today actually, where he reportedly ran a pretty bad 40-yard dash, 4.74. That's not good, but it was kind of like what Kenny Vaccaro ran. I think he's fine.
I think you got that one from Rap.
Play him as a box safety, and you'll be fine in the end for his fit in the NFL.
Hakeem the Dream.
Number 25, I like him. I've got some pretty significant drop concerns with him, but I'm not going to panic about it. I think it was more focus drops because he has big hands, so it shouldn't be a physical thing. But he ran really well at the combine, but he was smart. He didn't do the agility drills because he would have ran like DK in the agility. Well, instead, he avoids them. He's my number 2 receiver this year. Drops are a big red flag, but I like him a lot. Now, for you guys out there, who is your favorite, what we call pet cats this year? Like your favorite guy that you're higher on than everybody else.
I'm more of a dog person.
Okay, your favorite dog then.
I don't even know. Kyler Murray. I don't even know what this question means.
Your
pet cat.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
Clearly, bad.
My favorite pet cat.
Bad question.
Is Dalton Risner because he's from Kansas State. How about that?
All right, there you go. 26. I like Risner. Pet cat means that like you personally are higher than most people on him. One of your personal favorites. All right, we'll just ignore it then. Dalton Risner, number 26. Teams want to keep moving guys to guard. Don't be dumb. Just play him at right tackle. That's what Dalton Risner is. I think he is a plug-and-play player. He's my number 3 tackle this year, i.e. tackles, not interior offensive lineman. Number 27, Juan Thornhill. Really good ball skills, really good athleticism. Here's the thing. Yes, take a drink, Mitch. First time you mentioned it today, by the way.
I was just going to say, that's pretty good.
For Thornhill, Virginia almost played him as like a linebacker sometimes, and I'm not really sure why. Because he played corner, and then he was in the box a bunch at Virginia. And I'm not sure if they were trying to cover something up, or if they just didn't use him very well. Either way. Number 28, Dwayne Haskins. There's my second quarterback, Mitchell. A round 2 grade for me, but again, that still puts you at number 28 overall this year. He's accurate. My big red flag here, he doesn't go deep downfield. Now, I don't know if that was a scheme thing or if they just didn't trust him.
Okay.
I think it's kind of more of a scheme thing, and my comp here, by the way, Mitchell, for Dwayne Haskins is
Marcus Russell.
Stop it. Is one Nick Foles.
Interesting.
I think he's got some Nick Foles in his game.
Sounds good.
Number 29, Jeffrey Simmons. On film, he would have been a top 10 guy for me. The problem is there's some off-the-field and medical stuff. He tore his ACL. That knocks him down. And there's also the video that I'm sure many of you have seen by now of him assaulting the woman back when he was in high school. That is something that you're going to have to work through. And if he's off your board, I get it. But just make note for Simmons. Talented, but not without concerns. Rashawn Gary, number 30. He might drop out of the top 32 when I finalize my board here because there's still some guys I want to get to that could jump in. Freak athlete, but didn't actually produce like one. So why? Was it scheme? There was good coaching at Michigan. Freak athlete that didn't produce like one. That's a big red flag there.
I hear you.
Worth the risk, but just how high? Number 31, Cody Ford. Some want to play him at guard. Play him at right tackle. It'll be fine. I think that's a good fit there. And number 32, Dexter Lawrence. Massive human being, 342 pounds, a good athlete as well. Mitch, you know me. I like my big boys that can move a little bit. That's what Dexter Lawrence is. And the production in terms of sacks and everything really wasn't there, but the disruption certainly was. So we'll recap here kind of quickly. Quinnen, Nick Bosa, Allen, Ed Oliver. I like those 4 as my top 4. Jonah, TJ Hockenson, Brian Burns, Devin White, some of my guys right there. Devin Bush, Montez Sweat, Noah Fant, and DK Metcalf. Then to round out my actual round 1 grades, Garrett Bradbury, Jawan Taylor, Cleland Ferrell, and Christian Wilkins. My round 1/round 2 grades kind of in between. Greedy, Byron, Nasir Adderley, and Jerry Tillery. Then Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Kyler Murray, my boy Darnell Savage, and Taylor Rapp. Then it's HAKEEM Butler, Dalton Risner, Juan Thornhill, and my round 2 grades that are still top 30 guys overall for me, Dwayne Haskins, Jeffrey Simmons, Rashawn Gary, Cody Ford, and Dexter Lawrence.